Nikita Hand has won her case against Conor McGregor and James Lawrence against Conor McGregor specifically for assault/rape. She's been awarded against Conor McGregor €248,000. That's made up of €60,000 for general damages, and the balance of €188,000 is for special damages. So Nikita Hand brought her case in a civil action for damages. She claimed she was raped by Conor McGregor in December 2018. She said he would not take no for an answer. And Conor McGregor, denied the claim and told the jury that they had athletic and fully consensual sex. The jury found that James Lawrence had not assaulted Miss Hand, though through allegedly having sex with her without her consent in the Beacon Hotel. Mr. Lawrence had said in his evidence that they had consensual sex twice. Miss Hand said she had no memory of that and described it as a made-up story. And Mr. John Gordon, senior counsel for Nikita Hand, said that Mr. Lawrence was brought into the mix essentially as a sort of a patsy or a fall guy for Conor McGregor. During cross-examination, Mr. Lawrence, whose legal fees are being paid by Conor McGregor, denied that he was a fall guy in relation to the allegation that Conor McGregor had raped Miss Hand. The verdicts came on the 12th day of the case. Legal sources have estimated the costs of the action commenced by Miss Hand in October 2020 as around $1.5 million. Costs issues will be addressed next Thursday. However, the normal rule is costs follow the event, and therefore it can be expected that Nikita Hand will have her costs awarded to her against Conor McGregor. The jury of 8 women and 4 men started considering their verdict at 3 p.m. on Thursday. They were sent home. They resumed deliberations today, Friday at 10 a.m. and they continued up till around 10 to 5. So they had deliberated about the evidence and so on, everything they'd heard for 6 hours and 10 minutes. Just before the jury came into the court, the judge, Mr. Justice Alexander Owen, said he wanted calm for the verdict. He said anyone who makes a scene will find themselves in jail. The verdict was greeted in silence. After the judge and jury left, a tearful Miss Hand was hugged by her partner and friends. The jury were asked a number of questions, and they were asked to answer yes or no to separate questions, asking whether Mr. McGregor assaulted Miss Hand and whether Mr. Lawrence assaulted Miss Hand. If the answer to those questions was no and no, that was the end of the case. If the answer was yes, well then the question of damages arose. So if they answered yes in the case of either man, they were to proceed then to assess damages, including general damages for assault, special damages in the form of medical expenses, loss of earnings and so forth, damages for past and future loss of earnings, and aggravated damages. The damages award included about €60,000 in general damages and $188,000 in special damages. The jury did not award any aggravated or punitive damages. Miss Hand was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder in December 2020 due to the impact of the alleged assaults. She had been unable to return to work as a hair colourist. She returned to work for a time after the alleged assaults, but was certified unfit for work then in May 2019 and later had part-time employment for some 10 months as a cleaner. She said that after the alleged assaults, she felt uneasy about living in Drimna, where she'd bought a house valued at $430,000 and subject to a mortgage. With her ex-partner, she's now living elsewhere. Before the jury began considering their verdict, the judge told them that Miss Hand had to prove her case on the balance of probabilities and they should consider all the evidence. This standard of proof is in stark contrast to the standard in a criminal case where the standard is beyond a reasonable doubt. If they got to the stage of considering damages which depended on their finding that either or both men assaulted Miss Hand, they were entitled to consider rape, cover-ups or untruthful evidence as very serious. In addressing the issue of consent to sexual activity, the judge said that consent is a two-way street. The jury should be cautious about drawing conclusions about what they think a person alleging sexual assault should or should not have done. A person subject to such a stressful event as rape may respond to that in ways that might seem irrational, especially if befuddled by consumption of intoxicants. And there was evidence clearly in the trial itself of consumption of alcohol and cocaine. 8 days of evidence, the jury heard that Miss Hand and a work colleague, Danielle Keeley, went to the hotel with Mr. McGregor and Mr. Lawrence on December 9th. CCTV showed Mr. McGregor leaving with Miss Keely about 6:15 p.m, Miss Hand leaving with Mr. Lawrence about 10:30 p.m. Miss Hand and Miss Keely had been partying from the evening of December the 8th into the morning of December 9th and had consumed alcohol and cocaine. McGregor and Lawrence were separately partying in Dublin nightclubs and had consumed alcohol. Mr. McGregor said cocaine was also available. Mr. Lawrence said he has never taken cocaine. In her evidence, Nikita Hand said that she told McGregor she did not want to have intercourse, she felt uncomfortable and referred to them having mutual friends, but he would not take no for an answer. She was wearing a tampon at the time and would not have sex during her period, she said. She said she had no memory of having sex with Mr. Lawrence. McGregor denied the rape and said that he and Miss Hand had fully consensual, vigorous, athletic sex. He said he was shocked when later shown photos of bruising on Miss Hand and that he had not caused them. He said there was no tampon and no discussion of one. Lawrence said that he had consensual sex twice with Miss Hand using condoms and had seen no marks on her other than a small bruise, which he said she had pointed out to him. He denied she had asked him to use all put a blind eye to what Conor does to women. In closing the case for Miss Hand, John Corden, senior counsel, told the jury that Conor McGregor subjected her to a savage and violent assault and was a devious coward who did not have the decency to own up to what he did. A doctor who examined Miss Hand in the Rotunda Hospital sexual assault unit the day after the alleged assault had said hers was one of the worst cases he had seen, and he never previously had to deal with a case where a tampon was wedged up into a woman's vagina, counsel said. So there you have it, €248,000 in damages awarded to Nikita Hand against Conor McGregor, €60,000 for general damages and €188,000 for special damages. And special damages is expenses, out-of-pocket expenses, medical expenses, loss of earnings in the past and in the future and so on. Hope you find the video useful. I know it was a fairly unseemly case and unseemly evidence, and a lot of people took the view, a plague on all their houses, etc., etc. But what a lot of people fail to understand, a lot of commenters online on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and elsewhere, and especially on YouTube and my YouTube channel, some of the comments, quite frankly, are absolutely appalling. But what people actually were afraid or making a mistake about was what exactly Nikita Hand had been well up for. Because I saw a comment there by a lady, and I used that term lady very loosely. It was a woman's photograph anyway on a TikTok account, I think. I presume I'll give her the benefit of the doubt and say she is a lady. But she said that Nikita was well up for it. And, she got what she deserved or something of that nature. And quite frankly, I think that was an absolutely appalling comment. Nikita Hand may have been well up for a party. She may well have been well up for drinking alcohol. She may even have been well up for taking cocaine. But she was not well up for assault or being strangled or being raped or anything of that nature. Now, the jury has found that she was raped by Conor McGregor, and I don't know the specifics or the details, but what I am saying is there's a world of difference between what a woman or indeed a man consents to up to a certain point in time and then says no. So Nikita Hand could have consented to a lot of stuff, but she didn't consent to rape, and she didn't consent to the injuries that she suffered, and the medical evidence is fairly strong and fairly substantial in corroborating her injuries. And we've heard about the paramedics giving evidence, we've heard evidence from her GP, we've heard evidence from the psychologist or psychiatrist who said that she suffered from an acute case of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. So that's the first thing, the first comment that I would make. She was well up for a lot of things, but she wasn't well up for rape. The second thing I'd say is that people were mixing up or confusing or conflating two issues. One, the morals of the situation, and two, the legalities. In other words, people were casting stones at Nikita Hand and they were saying she was a liar, they were all liars, a plague on all their houses. Or she engaged in morally questionable activity, morally dubious activity. She cheated on her boyfriend, she had a child at home, she had a boyfriend and a new house, etc., etc. And what she did was morally reprehensible. That may be the case. That's for other people to judge. But that has nothing to do with the law. The law has to do with whether she was raped or assaulted in this particular instance or not. And the decision she made before that, the morally dubious, morally questionable decision she made, that's not something that the jury needed really to be concerned about. It's not something that the court needed to be concerned about. And quite frankly, it's not something that the general public needs to be concerned about, because he or she without the first stone, you know, the saying, let him without sin cast the first stone. But the bottom line is, I'm saying that people were making a mistake where they were conflating issues of morality and law. On the one hand, what she did morally was, you know, questionable or dubious or plain dumb. But on the other hand, from a legal perspective, the question is, and the jury had to address the question, was she assaulted by Conor McGregor or James Lawrence or both of them? And that's what the jury have done. So that's my comment, and that's what's happened. 250 grand damages. And quite frankly, I think that John Gordon, Senior Counsel for Nikita Hand, did an excellent job, especially in the closing submission to the jury, and I think the jury did a good job as well. Hope you liked the video. Hit the thumbs up button down below if you do. Thanks a lot.